Hey, how are you guys doing today? Welcome Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, Twitter. Again, today is a Q&A session. I had something else planned, but I have an unusual amount of questions in my messenger over this last week about the mirroring and matching, as well as the mindset stuff of investing. All kinds of questions for some reason, more than normal. So I wanted to do this session today with you guys to answer any questions that you have. I'm going to cover as many questions as I can, answer as many questions in 30 minutes as I can. So if you have any questions that you want me to address, now if I don't address it live with everyone, I will address it individually with you. But in the chat window right now, go ahead and type any questions you have for me that has to do with the mindset, that has to do with mirroring and matching, has to do with anything that I teach, has to do with the body, has to do with personal development. Anything you want me to talk about, I will talk about today within reason. Personally, professionally, whatever you guys want me to talk about today. So before I do that, if you want to put your name into the drawing that we're going to do after first of the year, to go to Unleash the Power Within, the Firewalk event, the 3.5-day event with Tony Robbins, myself, and about 75 other people. We're going to do that in July, and we're going to give away tickets. And to put your name in the drawing for a ticket, and we're going to draw multiple times. If your name's in the drawing, and you don't get drawn, may get drawn the next time. We're not going to swap it all out. We're going to keep adding to it. So each week you have the ability to add to it. So if you did not share last week's video on mirroring and matching, it's, I think, a very good video to watch. If you want to understand the psychology of selling and how to get anyone to like you very, very quickly, and how to get anyone to buy into what you're talking about very quickly, mirroring and matching was last week. You can share that video. But if you share this, there's 2 steps this week. One is sharing this video, number 1, and number 2 is add Kori Lee Official, subscribe to follow on either Apple Podcast or Spotify. So when we get done with this video, you simply go on to Apple Podcasts or you go on to Spotify. If you just type in podcast as a search on your iPhone, you'll find it. Or else you can go to Spotify and do a search for Kori Lee Official. And go ahead and subscribe, and anything that I talk about every single week, all gets edited. You guys can get a chance to listen to that wherever you're at if you subscribe to the podcast. So again, there's only 2 steps this week to get your name in the drawing for the basically $1,400, $1,500 ticket, which is simply go in and number 1, share this video. You can do that right now. And then number 2 is simply follow one of my podcasts, either Spotify or Apple Podcasts, depending on what device you have. So I'm looking in the chat window. Before I do that, I've got a couple questions here from the team. And again, looking for questions. So again, even if you're on any other device, I don't care if you're, again, following this on Instagram, you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Periscope or Twitter, you can type your questions into the live video feed, and my team is watching all of it. So what I want to do is answer a few questions. So one of the questions that we have here is from Abrian. Abrian's asking, how do you use your past struggles to make you better and not allow them to hold you back? How do you make them work for you versus against you? So first thing you have to realize is the past does not equal the future. Unfortunately, what happens for most of us humans, first of all, we're all born with a clean slate. So when we're born, we all have a clean slate. Nobody, you don't see in the paper, hey, so-and-so is born and they're going to be an artist. So-and-so is born, they're going to be successful in business. So-and-so is born, they're going to be a deadbeat. Everyone has a clean slate when they're born. And so what happens is, because of our surroundings, right, our parents initially, then our peers, then our teachers, those around us, people, our friends, all of those things influence us. And depending on what happens, our past struggles and the challenges that we have, we produce references. We produce references of what happens when this happens. It's almost like, and this is the challenge with us humans, is we have fear. So I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but we are the only living creatures we're aware of that can dream for the future. Now, animals, they say, can dream about the past. In other words, they can remember things that happened, and then because of that, they can then think about what happened in the past and go back to that place. But they don't have the ability, according to science, they don't believe they have the ability to dream about the future, the what if. And we have that ability to do that. But unfortunately, most of us humans don't utilize that as much as we utilize the past to differentiate, I should say, to create the foundation for our future. In other words, let's say if, I'll use as an example, we talked about this last week. Let's say if, as a child you trip and somebody in your family says, oh my God, you're a klutz. And then something else happens a couple years later, and you are riding a bike, and you all of a sudden your shoestring tied in the bike, and somebody says, oh my God, you're a klutz. and then something else happens to you and you're a klutz, and something else happens to you and you're a klutz. So pretty soon what happens is we now have an identity in our own minds that we're a klutz. And so even though the same things might happen to everybody else, or walking up the stairs of the gym and they trip, or something else happens, they spill something, and they have these references now to say they're a klutz. And so, number one, Abraham, you have to watch the identity that you give yourself and be very, very careful letting others label you. Because once you label yourself as I'm depressed or I'm unhappy, all of those things, what it does is it then puts the references in place for your brain to now focus on the areas that you are. So now anytime that person, even though I may have the same thing happen to me, I spill shit all the time on myself. And if I spill something and if I do that, I'm just like, oh shit, that happened. If you have a reference and a framework and an identity that you're a klutz and that happens to you, you're going to reinforce that reference. So what I can tell you, Abraham, the simplest way to do this is think of the windshield that you have in your car. The windshield is 98% the windshield versus the little thing that's on that windshield, which is the rearview mirror. And what that means in life is you should be focusing 95% of your time on focusing on the windshield versus the rearview mirror. Focusing ahead versus focusing backwards. And that's where most people fail, is that they focus so much of their energy and time about the what ifs and what happened in the past and the references from that versus focusing on where they're going. So how do you fuel yourself if you have something negative that happens in your life? Is you simply say this was a situation that happened, and you use that as a fuel to say I'm not going to let that happen again. Or you're going to use that as fuel to say who do I want to create, who do I want to be. Look at your questions here. Okay. Okay, Rachel's asking, what are the few things that you can do or the things you need to do to believe in yourself or tell yourself in order to build your confidence up? So the best way I can tell you this is something that I like to call telling the truth in advance. So you might call it lying, but I say call it telling the truth in advance. So what I want you to do is this. So first I want you to understand something about me, which is Kori Lee, this person that I am. So that, first of all, why do I use Kori Lee versus Kori Lee Kepke or Kori Kepke? Well, first of all, Kepke's hard to say and pronounce. If you're typing it into a search, it's hard to find. And so, but that's one. Number two is I went through an event with Tony Robbins several years ago, and he has you kind of create this name for the new you, the person that is unstoppable, the person that you actually want to be versus the person that you feel you are today. And so, basically what it is creating a name of who is this person, right? And so you go through this event and you're building up of what identity do I want to have? So if I was this majorly confident, this person that was attracting all kinds of amazing things in their lives, this person that was having amazing relationships with other people, the kind of person that attracts the things in their life that they want, abundant wealth, all of these things. And so you create this identity of who that person is. And then what you do is you create a new name for that person. And my name is Kori Lee. Understand that I created Kori Lee. I created Kori Lee from nothing, from the kid that had nothing, right? The kid that had to create everything in his life to where and my mentor taught me to create this identity of, I would say, I can't do this. I don't have the resources to do this. He would say, well, if you did know the answer, what would it be? Or, if you're already making $1 million a year, how would you walk in the room? How would you talk to people? How would you react to these situations? And because of that, I would start thinking that way. So what he said is, you are exactly where you should be. This is the challenge, and I know you're going to maybe disagree with me, some of you guys. You are exactly where you should be and where you believe you should be, and you are a creature of creating your own surroundings. So you can say you don't want the life you have right now and you want something better, but you are where you are because of how you think of where you think you should be. So if you want something better, what does Jim Rohn say, my former mentor? He still is my mentor, but he passed away, unfortunately, several years ago. But Jim Rohn teaches and taught me, for things to get better, I must get better. For things to change, I must change. And so what you have to do is you have to put yourself on this different plane to say, if I was this person of unlimited confidence, if I was this person people wanted to be around, if I was this person when I walked in the room, the entire mood of the room changed, if I was the type of person that everything in my life I could just attract whatever I wanted, how would that person think? And I put myself in that framework, and then I write down what would I have to believe to be that person. I would have to believe that people love to be around me. I'd have to believe that I have unlimited confidence. I have to believe that people, when I walk in the room, I can change the whole frequency of that room, and people will feel me walking in that room and say, holy shit, who is that person? And that's how I dress, and that's how I act, and that's the posture that I have. When you become that person, and this is the cool thing about your brain does not know the difference of a dream versus reality. All your brain knows is what you're feeding it, and eventually, guess what will happen? You'll believe that. So you can call it lying to yourself right now, or you can call it telling yourself the truth in advance, which is what I prefer to call it, which means I create this identity of who I'm going to be. And once I believe that I'm actually there and that person, imagine you're an actor or an actress, right? Put yourself in that framework. Have you guys not heard the people that, for example, the gal on Grey's Anatomy, the head gal on Grey's Anatomy, there's other people as well that have been talked to, like people that were on Friends or ER or other series that have gone 8 or 9 or 10 different seasons, right? And what was the movie with the TV series with the two brothers still going like 12 or 13 years and they're fighting heaven and hell and Supernatural, right? People start creating this identity of the person, their character. So what I'm saying is, imagine if you were an actor or actress, and if you simply got into character of the person that you wanted to be, the confident person, your mind frick can say, no, I'm not confident, but you just walk in as if you're confident. You do the whole thing, walking in the room or talking to people or how you communicate over the phone, say, if I was this confident person, how would I be or how would I interact? Once you believe you're there, you will be there. Your money will get to that point. Your finances will get to that point. Your body will get to that point. Your people around you, your surroundings will get to that point. Your relationship will get to that point if you become the person that you need to be. Looking at other questions here. Hold on a second. All right, Les Sutherland's asking, how does Kori or any hard-driven, driving, successful entrepreneur balance family and business to achieve maximum performance? So how do you balance it all? And I'm going to be quite candid with you, Les. I'm never going to come on to here and tell you a story that's not true to me either. I don't ever. One of the things I talked about several weeks ago is one of my challenges with people and non-congruency. So I'm going to tell you the truth, which is I have a tough time balancing as well. And my family takes a toll sometimes on me not being 100% balanced. But the way that I know to do it is if I don't schedule it, it doesn't happen. If I don't put it in my schedule for time with the kids or time with family or put things into my calendar, they typically don't happen because I know for a fact that for me to massively succeed in any area of my life, I sometimes have to pull resources from other areas of my life. And sometimes that happens to be family. So what I have to do, though, is with my family is get them to buy in. If I don't get them to buy in, there's going to be challenges. And I have had challenges, to be quite frank with you, on the personal front because of me being so unbalanced in many areas, especially the business side of it. And being an entrepreneur, I'm not as balanced as I need to be. And the only way you can combat that is the number one, they have to be on the same pace and the same wave pattern as you are. You've got to be with somebody that is is going to push you versus pulling you back. You have to be with somebody that is on the same wavelength as you are when it comes to, personal development, where it comes to achieving success, or they have to understand that, you can say, well, you already have the money you want. Why are you still pushing so hard? They have to understand the thing of building a legacy. If they don't understand that, it's going to be a tug of war back and forth, and that is no fun. So people that tell you to have a balanced life, I'm telling you, they're lying to you. They don't have a balanced life. You have to pull different resources from different areas, and you have to be willing to do that. So you have to get everybody around you to understand what you're doing. The worst thing you can do, and again, I made this mistake as well, is go dark. In other words, focus in one area of your life without getting your family and those around you to understand what you're doing. So for example, one of the things I'm a big proponent of is when you want to change something in your life, you've got to be obsessed with it. So if I want to change my body, I've got to be obsessed with my body. So what I've got to do is I've got to work out 7 days a week. I've got to work out an hour at least every single day. I've got to do that for at least 90 days to create new habits and that are going to last me a long time. The 21 days to form a habit, 90 days to create a lifestyle, that's what I have to do. Watch my breathing, watch the water that I drink, the water intake, do all the things I have to do to get on center line. If I wanted to do a massive leap forward in my business, I've got to focus on that. If I want to do a massive leap forward when it comes to my faith, for example, I've got to focus on that. If I want to do a massive leap forward with my family, I've got to focus on that. So what it's all about is spinning plates, right? You're always spinning plates. it doesn't get any better other than you've got to look at the time you do have and use that time, squeeze that time, every ounce of that time the best you can to get the most value out of that time. Where most people fail is they complain they don't have time for family, they complain their business, they complain their job, they complain all these things, but then they're focusing about 7 hours a day between television and social media and all the shit that doesn't move them forward in life. And that's where you've got a challenge. For me is when I spend time with my kids, it's typically quality time. It's a half an hour here or there that I'm focusing quality time with my kids. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to be able to achieve massive success in one area and not lose the other areas of your life. That's a really good question, Les, and I wish I had the perfect silver bullet for that and the answer for that, but I don't. All right, other questions from you guys? I'm going to cover the one, this is Bree's question. Can you talk about the crabs in a bucket analogy, how to not get pulled down when you're constantly surrounded by negativity and toxicity, how to keep your head in the game and have tunnel vision on your goal despite the naysayers? So I probably have almost as many people that don't like me that love me. And that's because I'm very straight in your face. You know, most people don't come and spend time with me or follow me if they don't want to change or to move, because I'm a firm believer. And don't get me wrong, if you just come to me as a friend, we're going to be friends. It's perfectly fine. But if you want to change an area of your life, my job is to not get you to like me and get you to change. My job is to tell you what you've got to do to change, and hopefully you'll like me because you have changed. So the reality is that, what I do is I choose my surroundings very carefully. There's certain things that sometimes you can't always control. Your immediate surroundings, you're in a certain situation or relationship or your job that you have, and there may be negativity and toxicity there. Your family, which many times have well intentions, right? They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want you to fail, whatever reason. So you have to realize they may have good intentions, but in many cases, they are your biggest naysayers. They're the ones that are pulling you back. Your friends are the same thing. If you tell them, hey, you know, I'm not only my job, I'm focusing on my job, but I'm also putting in an extra 20 hours a week to build a side business of some sort because I want to build something for my future. And they're seeing how hard you're working. They're going to say, oh my God, you're pushing yourself too hard. And, you know, I don't know if you should be doing that. You're going to have people that are going to try pulling you back. And sometimes it's the best intentions. But what I've had to do is the best that I possibly can is insulate myself. And I get hit all the time with negativity. I get hit all the time with things around me that for a little bit of time derail me. But I know for a fact that I can't stay there and achieve the goals that I have in my life. I can't stay in negativity and put out positivity. I can't stay in negativity and achieve my goals. And that's what I know. I can't create a legacy for my kids and my family. I can't do the things that I want to be able to do to give my family, those in my inner circle, choices in life, and those that are in my inner circle, the ability to have the lifestyle they want and have the freedom to do the things they want to do. And that's really what I'm a huge proponent of, is how do we create freedom? And freedom to me and success to me means being able to do what you want with whomever you want, whenever you want, however you want. You can't do that by being average. You got to be obsessed. And this also is a place you got to be obsessed with is reading, is listening to things, even if you don't feel like it. There's times I don't feel like putting something positive into my brain because I'm so negative about something. There are times I get to the gym and I'm sitting in the parking lot like I was yesterday in a bit of a mental funk, and I was sat there forever trying to decide if I should go in and work out. You got to push yourself to do it. I'm not someone that tells you it's going to be easy. I'm simply telling you the alternative, which is shit. You're not going to have the life you want, and nothing is worse than laying in your deathbed and knowing you didn't do the things that you were here to do and the things that God gave you or the universe gave you to be great and to be amazing. And I don't think he put you here to not enjoy your life, to work 2/3 of the day, live the other third, to only, excitement is the weekends, to not travel the world. I feel that he put you here to really enjoy yourself and to create a better world for everybody else. I'm looking at other questions here. Peter Kish. When pushing on a goal, such as building a second business from the long term, what are some ways to ensure family are on board? How to get them to buy into the long-term vision. A family vision board was not enough to sustain the energy level in home. So what Peter's saying is he created a vision board with his family so they could see the long term, and that's one of the challenges in many cases with starting a business. So understand something. When you start a business, the average business does not actually turn a profit for 5 years. That's the average out there because you're dumping all the money you're making back into your business. And it's very taxing and can be very taxing on your family, this yo-yo of business. The vision board is a good start, Peter, which is to sit down with your family and create a vision board of what is possible and what you're going to do as a family once you achieve your goals and to create goals as a family. The challenge with that is that when there's a lot of delayed gratification, right? You're going out and doing the work, and in many cases you don't see fruition of that. I mean, my family had to endure and put up with 5 years, a little over 5 years, of me doing this before we actually were turning a profit, because I was dumping everything back into my business, plus in many cases a couple 100% of what I was bringing in every single year into my business. So they're seeing my retirement, where our families are money. They're seeing credit cards. They're seeing, all of these things getting racked up and not bringing the cash flow in. It's not easy to keep them on the same page as you are. The only way you do it is continually talking to them about why you're doing it. Continually talking to them about the successes you're having. You can't just lock yourself, and all they're seeing is time away from them. You can't lock yourself in your room. You can't lock yourself in your office. You can't seclude yourself for weeks and weeks and weeks and months, and them not seeing the pocketbook increase without pushback. And you don't blame them, right? You've got to get them to buy into it. So, for example, when we do events, you want them to plug into the events with personal development. You can't push it to them, but the more they're in tune with where you're going and why you're doing it to secure your legacy as a family, the better it can be, and the better it will be. All right, looking for other questions here. I'm sure you guys have more questions than that. I'm scrolling up at some of the questions you guys have or comments. We've got about 10 minutes left. Questions on anything, mirroring and matching, questions on, anything that has to do with sales or marketing or branding or side business. I'm looking for the questions here in the comments. Hey, Paige. Welcome. Hey, Alex. Hey, John. Again, looking for some of the questions you guys have. I will say of the most questions I get typically are, where do I invest my money? What percentage should I invest in what? How do I increase my income? How do I get my mindset correct? Now, I can talk at length on any one of those topics, but I'm going to cover the one topic that I always gravitate towards, which is the 80%, in my opinion 90, but 80% is what they say out there, that 80% of everything comes down to the mindset. If you do not have the right mindset and your mind is not in the game, you might as well not even plow forward. Because everyone will feel that energy level. They will feel the insecurities in you. They will feel in your conversation, whether it be over the phone or in person, that you're not 100% committed. You have to do your self-talk. And to get your self-talk right, you have to plug in enough positive information every single day to keep putting fuel in that engine. And you got to stay away from those people that are constantly trying to pour water on your fire. All of you that are watching this, my belief is you guys are already the top 5%. Maybe the top 2% of the people in this country, people around the world, the top 2% that are willing to spend time on a Monday afternoon plugging into a 30-minute conversation, you are the top probably 2% in the world. But yet even the top 2%, what I see is so many people want to change their life, but very few actually do. And I'm telling you the answer to that of why you are not is that you don't have a big enough reason why to push through the shit you've got to push through, and you're not plugging into the positive information. You got to keep fueling your brain, and you're spending too much of your time around negativity. Negativity with the news. I mean, in my opinion, if you spend more than 15 minutes a day on the news, you're poisoning your weeds. You're fueling the negativity. That's why Mother Teresa says she'll never be part of a war rally, right? She's going to be part of a peace rally, just the words of it, right? You've got to focus on your time and attention on the things that are going to fuel you in a positive way. If your brain is not there, you might as well not do it. And the way you get your brain there every single day is to force yourself when you don't feel like it, and to constantly keep plugging into the information. It's great. I mean, the environment we live in today, YouTube, right? All this information is free out there. YouTube, the books you're reading may pay, you're going to spend 10, 15, 20 bucks, but there's millions of dollars of information in those books. So you have the ability to plug into all this positivity and then find people. I mean, I'm not just talking about me. Find people out there that you can search, that you can plug into. You know, you can plug in and go to all my past stuff that I've done. You can go to other people that I can recommend to you. You've got to plug into positivity and people that are making things happen in this world, so it keeps your level, your brain at this level, versus what happens to everybody is this. My question to you is, how many hours in your day, be honest, how many hours in your day are you dealing with mental shit? How many hours of your day are you around people that are patting you on the back at your job and telling you how fucking amazing you are? How many hours at your job do you spend people motivating you to be better, And how many hours of your job, to be quite fair, are you spending just trying to get through that day and do the bare minimum you have to do because you've got that job on autopilot to keep your job versus scaling things to the next level? How many hours do you spend each week with people that are fueling you versus, even if they have the best intentions, they're actually watering your weeds? How many hours do you spend on people that are watering and putting sunlight on your weeds versus yanking your weeds out and focusing you on positivity? That's the question. And I promise you, if you focus on that, the money side of it, the side business you have, your family, all of those things will be so much better if you can simply control this right here. Between your eyes, you control this and everything else will change. So Paige is asking, if I'm thinking about starting a side hustle, how should I test the market prior to launch? And Paige, I take my hat off to you. What I see happen so many times, even though I caution people on it, is they want to start a side hustle, right? I've got, people want to start let's say as an example, they want to start a nutrition company. So they open a brick and mortar store and put all their money into the brick and mortar versus doing it smart, which is beta test the market, which is going out to the market to see, is this something people are going to be well received, right? People are going to want this because you can always scale it. I see people that want to start a side business where they want to go out and they want to do social media for people and they want to go ahead and help marketing with companies. So they go out and they start creating this company and they buy the computer, they buy the cameras, they buy the lights, they buy, they maybe get an office in some cases, and they go out and all of a sudden they realize, I don't have any customers. It doesn't matter how great your website is. I see companies do the same thing all the time. They say, well, I need to create this amazing website if I'm going to go sell something. No, you don't. Go out and sell it and then create behind the scenes the environment to fulfill it. In my company, for example, 3/4, those that are with me will attest to this, 3/4 of the offerings that we take to our large clients, right? Like Heineken, like Coca-Cola, like the large private equity companies in the world, these billion-dollar companies and multi-million-dollar companies, they come and say, could you guys do this? Could you guys handle this? We're looking to do this. We're looking to do that. Can you guys do it? What do I say? Yes, we can. And then I go behind the scenes and say, shit, all my relationships, all my partnerships, who is an expert in this area that I can bring to my client? We've gone from one offering, which is energy procurement, to about 11 different divisions, and that's all because the clients are asking for it. But we don't go out and create the division and think, this is what all people make mistakes on Page that you don't want to do. People go out and if you guys have watched the series, which I love, which is I just forgot the name, Billionaire. Remember what that TV series is called? They told you guys to watch. I know I'm thinking of The Billionaire Next Door, and I know it's not. Undercover Billionaire, thank you. So an Undercover Billionaire, what he talks about is this. So many people do the wrong thing, is they create this cool widget, this cool app, this cool product, this cool service, and then they go out trying to sell it. That's not how you do it. What you do is you go out and find out and talk to people that you feel that, would you want to get input from, and find out what they want. You find the challenge, you find the problem, you find the need, and you fill that need. And if you can do that and you see a margin in it, now you just scale it. So if your margin is 10%, 20%, whatever it is, all you've got to do is find the need of what people want, fill that need, and then scale the opportunity. So Paige, you can maybe chat with me offline, Paige. Type it in a message to me and let me know what you're looking to do, and I'll give you the best guidance that I can and maybe give you some input on how to beta test or how to test that market. But I'll use the example. I'll go back to an example of a person that I know personally, that a friend of mine who has created a multi-million-dollar business on tangible products that he sells on eBay, mainly nutritional products, right? A multi-million-dollar business. He didn't start by creating this product and private labeling it and spending all this money on his website and branding and everything else. What he did is he found a need with his wife, who was looking online trying to find lactation supplements, which sounds crazy if you know this guy. Lactation supplements, and there wasn't really great options out there. So he created this company with his wife called Mommy Knows Best, and then he still didn't have the ability financially to do anything. So he went out and found people that had products that they would let him, they would pay a little bit extra and have them simply put the labels on, relabel them, private label, right? So they private labeled them, and then he sold them and found there was a good need in the market. Then he took some of that money and reinvested it back in to make his own products, his own nutritional cookies, his own, creams and lotions and pills and everything else. And now he scaled it to a multi-million-dollar business. So it's easy for us to say we need all of these things around us. And what happens for most of us when we're not selling and we're not making money, we go back to the drawing board versus figuring out how to sell. So we go back and think a new website, a new marketing scheme, a new set of leads, a new brick and mortar business, a new logo, all those things we can do down the road. Figure out what the clients want and find out a way to make a margin on it in a small scale. And then all you got to do is figure out what that margin is and scale that margin. That's a great question, Paige. Thank you. All right, that's the time we have for today. I appreciate you guys coming on. I like doing these things because I get a kind of a chance to see what you guys want to know. And so I like doing this about every fourth or fifth or sixth time that we go live. Next week, we're going to continue forward with the series. Don't miss last week's conversation that I had, which talks about mirroring and matching. That will literally change your life, whether it be if you're in a sales capacity or in your relationships. If you learn how to mirror and match, that's the first step in neurolinguistics programming or conditioning. And next week, I'll go to phase 2 of neurolinguistics with you guys and teach you more of these skills. But don't miss last week. Share last week for your name to get in the drawing. Share this week and go ahead and follow my podcast on, again, either Apple or Spotify. Do me a favor. Once you follow my podcast, simply do a direct DM to me on Facebook. Just DM me on Facebook or Instagram. Let me know that you went ahead on podcast, followed my podcast, Kori Lee Official, and that'll put your name in the drawing. And right now, I think we've got 32 people in the drawing, 32 names. So your odds are pretty good, and we're keeping adding to it. So if you did it last week, you did it again this week. It simply adds to it, and it's not too late to add yourself to last week as well by simply going and sharing last week's video that I did on mirroring and matching. Thank you guys. Appreciate your time. Talk soon. Bye, everybody.